Hi friends, I just wanted to send you a message from Rwanda to fill you in on some of what's happening here. As all of you, we have been impacted by coronavirus here in Rwanda. I'm recording this on April 1st, and so we are now about 10 days into our lockdown here. So we're able to leave our houses to go and get groceries, to go to the pharmacy or to hospitals, but other than that, we are staying at home. There are a number of challenges that we're encountering here, and while the details are probably different from yours, I would imagine that there are some similarities. So here in Rwanda, there are lots of people who live basically hand to mouth. There are many people who don't have the ability to purchase extra food or to store extra food. There are people who don't have access to clean water, people who don't have access to quality medical care. And so I and my teammates are daily encountering people with these stories and asking the Lord to give us wisdom to know how to help. The needs can feel overwhelming at times, and so we really desperately feel our need of wisdom and the desire to use the resources and the skills and the knowledge that He's given us in this particular season. Another challenge that we're experiencing is that some members of our missionary community have chosen to go back to their home countries to wait out this season of coronavirus. And so for some of us, we have lost really good friends, often without the opportunity to say goodbye. And so we are still mentally trying to adapt to what it looks like to be here when our community has literally changed overnight. For me personally, I am house sitting for someone while they're away so that I can be closer to my teammates, Gary and Barb Bennett. This house is a lot bigger than my house. There's a yard, there are birds, there are dogs to pet, and so this has been a really nice, refreshing change from my own house. But it is still challenging to be living in someone else's house and to not know how long it will be before you're able to go back to your own. I read earlier this week Psalm 40, and it talks about how we should loudly and publicly and often proclaim the good news of what God has done for us, to tell others about the deliverance and the salvation that He has worked on our behalf. And so, in light of that, I wanted to share some of the good things that God is doing here in Rwanda in the midst of coronavirus. Within my Rwandan community, it's been super fun to see my Rwandan church step up. They are doing some really cool things. One member of my church has started an online Bible study, and she is specifically working with a lady who is not a believer. So please pray that as they study the Bible together, that this lady would come to faith. My church is also partnered with the local government to help provide food to people who don't have access to it right now. We have been able to partner in a neighborhood called Kachiru, where our church has been doing outreach to kids for the last 3 years. And so we were able to donate food specifically to those families, families of 38 kids that we have relationship with. My church has also initiated a food distribution in the neighborhood near NCM, the school that I work at. And our World Venture missionaries were able to partner with that outreach and to help my church be able to distribute that food. Within my missionary community, we're seeing the Lord at work as well. Some of you know that my teammates Nick and Crystal Parolo were trying to get back to the States so that they could begin their home assignment before the travel ban began here in Rwanda. It wasn't sure for a long time. They were going back and forth about whether they would be able to get out. But at the last minute, the Lord provided a flight. He provided money for them to be able to purchase tickets. He provided even another missionary family to travel with them from here back to the States. So they had someone to process with, to debrief with on the way. Literally in the last few hours before they arrived, he provided a house for them to do their 14-day quarantine in. and he also provided a vehicle for them to borrow. So we are just so, so thankful for the Lord's provision to them in this season. In the midst of all the chaos, the Lord has been really good to meet their needs. And for me personally, I am living here by myself, and so I'm spending a lot of time alone. I'm dealing with loneliness and, as I said, uncertainty about when I'll be able to go back to my own home. But in the midst of that, my missionary community has been really good about reaching out to me and checking in. I have a number of friends who are contacting me on a daily basis just to see how I'm doing. And so I'm grateful for the Lord's love and care expressed through his people here. Psalm 34 says this: I will bless Yahweh at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul makes its boast in Yahweh. Let the humble hear and be glad. O magnify Yahweh with me, and let us exalt his name together. This is my prayer for myself and for you, for the church in the U.S., for the church in Rwanda, for the church around the world, that we would be people who bless the Lord at all times, that even in the midst of coronavirus, his praise would be in our mouths, that we would be loudly and publicly and often declaring the good things that God is doing, even in the midst of these circumstances, that we wouldn't lose sight of his goodness and his faithfulness, and that in the midst of difficulty, he would grow our faith, so that we would be people of peace, people of generosity, people of love, people of worship. So may the Lord bless you today. May you encounter his goodness and his presence. Love you.